بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. So we continue inshallah with Tafseer Surah Al-A'la, and we stopped at this particular ayah where Allah said, فَذَكِّرْ إِن نَفَعَتِ الذِّكْرَى. There are different opinions on what the ayah has meant. Some Mufassirun said that it means to always remind, whether someone benefits or not. فَذَكِّرْ إِن نَفَعَتِ الذِّكْرَى means remind people. Remind them whether there's a benefit to them or not. Because Abu Lahab, Abu Talib received reminders constantly, ayat al-Quran and the warnings, they didn't believe. Whereas Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu and others, but when they were reminded, they believed and they acted upon what was given to them. And the other opinion is remind people if you think it's beneficial. And this could be applicable in certain circumstances. So, when I was reading this ayah, I was thinking, how am I going to deliver this? How can I make this relevant? How can I bring this ayah closer to us? And subhanAllah, I was thinking about this ayah in Surah Al-Ra'd, which inshallah will help us understand this ayah further. Where Allah Ta'ala said, وَفِي الْأَرْضِ قِطَعٌ مُتَجَاوِرَاتٌ وَجَنَّاتٌ مِّنْ أَعْنَابٍ وَزَرْعٌ وَنَخِيلٌ ونخيل سنوان وغير سنوان يسقى بماء واحد ونفضل بعضها على بعض في الأكل إن في ذلك لآيات لقوم يعقلون. The translation of this ayah is, on the earth there are neighboring lands, gardens of grapevines, grapes of wine, crops, palm trees, sharing one root and others with individual roots. All these gardens and crops are watered with the same water. And then Allah Ta'ala says, and I made some of them better than others in taste, despite their being next to one another and being watered by the same water. So, فَذَكِّرْ إِن نَفَعَتِ الذِّكْرَى. Continuation, سَيَذَّكَّرُ مَن يَخْشَى. Whoever is a believer will benefit from the ayah. سيذكر من يخشى, you have khushu', you have fear. ويتجنب الأشقى. So think about it for 1 second. The earth is one, all dirt. And Allah Ta'ala sends from above rain. And due to that rain, we get different trees, different plants, different fruits. Some are sweeter than others. You get different colors, right? You get vegetables, different tastes, different types, different sizes. One earth, one water, and we get different things. How does this relate to the ayah I just read? The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the example of the guidance and knowledge that Allah has sent me with is like a rain that falls on the earth. This is the example now. It's like the rain that falls on the earth. Some parts of the earth absorb the water and produce abundant vegetation and grass, while other parts are rocky and do not absorb the water, nor do they produce any vegetation or fruits. So that means we are one of three people as Muslims. Okay, remember the example. So in the hadith, there are three types of people. We have to ask ourselves, which one are we? Number one, the first type.
Sorry, Sheikh, to stop you there. There's a Mazda AUD 825 in the child care. Can you please remove your car as you're blocking for 80 cars there? Mazda AUD 825. It's a black Mazda in the child care, kindergarten or a church, wherever you know it by. Please move the car immediately. Sorry, Sheikh.
The first type, as mentioned in the hadith. There are a group of people who are seeking knowledge of the religion. They acquire the knowledge. They act upon the knowledge and spirit of the people. This is example one, as mentioned in the hadith. The land that absorbs the rain, gives fruit and vegetation, and benefits others. This is how the believer is. He attends the lessons in the mosques or in Islamic centers. He listens to the good that's being said, whether it's ahadith or Quran or advice. Then he takes it, he acts upon it, and then spreads it amongst the Muslims. This is the highest level. How many of us attend the khutbahs? How many of us are attending lessons? We have to ask ourselves, are we taking beneficial knowledge? Are we acting upon it? And are we sharing it? Person number 2, he attends the lessons. He memorizes the Quran, memorizes ahadith, understands fiqh. He's taking the rain, he's taking the wahi. But what happens? He does not act upon it, nor does he share it. So what use is it? What use is his knowledge? That's the second example. The earth that takes the rain, absorbs the water, but doesn't give any fruits. That's number 2. Number 3 is the person who's turned away from knowledge. Doesn't attend the lessons. Doesn't want to attend reminders. So he has no source of light in his life. Similar to that land, doesn't reach any water. There's no crops there, no livelihood. So we are one of 3 people. And it's very important to ask ourselves. Number 1 is the person who benefits from what he listens. So it's very important we pay attention to when we are listening to lectures and the khutbahs. What are we taking back home? What effect does it have in my life? What am I benefiting? Have I increased my actions? Am I coming closer to Allah? Then we share it. Because as the Prophet said, peace upon him, Al-Quran hujjatun lak aw alayk. That the Quran is either for you or against you. Similar to knowledge, it's either for you or against you. The more we listen, the more we are perhaps have a hujjah against us. Just to change the mood a little bit, everyone looks a bit intense today. We're getting these goosies. I'm going to change the mood up a little bit. In the Quran, there are certain animals mentioned in the Quran, true? Yes? Yes. Who can give me the names? Al-Baqarah, the cow. Who said Naml? The ant. The bee. Al-Ankabut. Al-Fil. Alright, this is a story to change the mood, but everyone needs to be intense today. So this man, he comes to Zouhayr for the first time in his life. True story. My chef said this to me a long time ago. And then comes to the Masjid, first time in his life, praying for Zouhayr. It happened to be the first night of Ramadan. Which chapter is read on the first night of Ramadan? The cow, the Baqarah. Yes? So after this long duration of prayer, he says to the brother, what did the Shaykh read today? There's a Baqarah. What's the Baqarah? It's the cow. I'll see you at the end of Ramadan. He comes back at the end of Ramadan, his heart pumped up. He goes, which chapter is the Shaykh going to read today? He said he's also on the field. What's the field? Elephant. I'm gone. Because it's too big. But believe it or not, these names of the chapters have a reason. It's not just for the sake of it. And I want to focus on something very important. Allah Ta'ala, I read a book from one of the sisters last week, and it was a very good reminder. It's about the bee and how the believer should be like the bee. The bee, small little insect that only goes to beautiful places. Where does it go to? Flowers. Nice places. Smells nice. And it takes beautiful things. It takes pollen. Correct? And then, it doesn't stop there. It transfers this pollen into what? Honey. What's honey? Shifa'un lin-nas. It's a cure for the people. The believer is similar to the bee. The believer only goes to beautiful places like the Masjid and the Marakas Islamiyya, the centers. And he takes beautiful things, beautiful advice, Quran, Hadith, wisdom. It doesn't stop there. He acts like the bee. The bee is a shifa, the honey is a shifa for our sicknesses, right? It's a cure for our sicknesses. The believer takes this knowledge and spreads it to cure the sicknesses that we have in our hearts. This is how the believer is. This is how the believer should be. So, in regards to this ayah,
بتكلم كفة أنت لحتى لأن وقت نجي بالصلاة إن شاء الله. عمل
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
أنت معنا بالصلاة إن شاء الله. لا خليك هون.
لا لا
في لك محل.
زيتي شيخان.
زي اثنين. أنت وزحيد
So in summary, this ayah is read every Jummah, every Eid, every witr, it's saying فَذَكِّرْ إِنَّ فَعْتِ الذِّكْرَ. Let us take a reminder from what we were attending yesterday, attending the Jummah. We must be alert and aware. We must be taking something home with us. And then I said, if we like the bee, we share the knowledge of our families, our wives, our kids, and then we act upon it. And the bee stings. If you interfere with the bee's environment, it will sting you. Similar to the Muslim. The Muslim wants peace. But when it comes to his boundaries, he will sting you. But I want to address something quickly. Is anyone here more passionate than Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Definitely not. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, on the conquest of Mecca, they've received Mecca in their hands now. The Sahaba say, Ya Rasulullah, let's rebuild the Kaaba into its original form, which is a rectangle, not a cube. Yes? Not a square, it's a cube, it was a rectangle. The Prophet ﷺ wanted to do this so bad. He wanted to rebuild the Kaaba. But because of his wisdom, and he foresees the future, he thinks ahead, he said no. Even though he wanted to. Why? Because he said, I'm afraid if we do this thing, which isn't compulsory, it's not compulsory. If we do this, perhaps many of the new Muslims who embrace Islam will leave Islam because they've been seeing the Kaaba in this form for years, decades. So if we bring this change, it's going to cause a commotion, it's going to cause an issue. So the Prophet ﷺ taught us a very important principle here. Sometimes we have to leave off something for the better. Even if it means leaving off something like a sunnah. It can happen. So for example, we have some madahib, you have to recite Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim aloud. Right? So the some madahib, this is compulsory. In other madahib, you just say Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. So Imam Ahmad rahimahullah, he would respect this opinion if he entered the masjid of the Shafi'iyah. He wouldn't cause issues. Why am I saying this? Because a slight incident took place today in the masjid. Not to mention it, not to make it big than what it is. It's a very small issue, inshallah. But the committee of the masjid has informed me, and I'm informing you on behalf of them, that no one is to reserve a spot in the masjid. You may think, hey Shaykh, we're leaving a sunnah. If the sunnah is going to cause harm in the masjid, then we'll leave the sunnah. If we leave the sunnah for the sake of brotherhood and no arguing, this is greater. Does that make sense? So no one is to reserve a position in the masjid. If you have reserved a spot and you went to the toilet, perhaps inform the person next to you. And if you think the person's gone for too long, do not take the responsibility on your hands. Report it to the masjid, to the administration, and let them deal with the issue. Because it might cause a bigger problem. So please, brothers, for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal, we're in the house of Allah. And I'll tell you something. I used to try my best to be in the first row in Medina. Okay? I'll push in and try and get in sometimes. And some people give me the greasy, like, you know, and we want to get the front row, the second greatest masjid. But then I realized this is going to cause me or someone next to me a bit of hatred. He might give me the greasy. I might make him feel awkward. I might make the position a bit tight for him to be relaxed. It's far greater to pray in the second, third, fourth row than the first if you're going to cause issues amongst your brothers. Believe it or not, if you had the intention for the first row and you came to the masjid and it's full, Allah will give you the reward. Allah will give you the reward. So no need to fight over the front row. Yes, the hadith encourages us. If only we knew the reward of the front row, we will be competing for the front row. But if someone really wants the front row, then come in early. Don't reserve the spot for anyone. And like I said, on behalf of the committee, no one is to reserve a spot as of today. Okay? I hope it's clear, inshallah. We'd rather have our hearts clean and pure rather than arguing about the front row. The Sahaba did not argue about the front row. Who was in there first was in there first. Jazakumullah khair. We have a few minutes for any questions. Otherwise, we'll wrap it up and back there, inshallah. No questions? How many Ramadans did the Prophet fast? He lived for 23 years of prophethood. 23 years of prophethood. How many Ramadans did he fast? Daniel? No. 9. How many Umrahs did the Prophet perform? How many? 4. He performed them all in 1 month. Not in 1 year, the same year, but in 1 month. Which year? Which month, sorry? He performed 4 Umrahs in 1 month. That's why Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah, he said that Umrah in this month is more beloved than Umrah in Ramadan. Which month is it? No. Dhul Qa'dah, yes, correct. Ahsant. Any questions? Adhan. SubhanAllah, this Jum'ah, as in today, was a special Jum'ah. We're in Ramadan, it is an odd day, and the Prophet ﷺ said that the dua of the last hour of Jum'ah is not rejected. So 1 hour before Maghrib, every one of us should set a time aside, you raise your hand and make dua. And I was thinking, this a long time ago, I'm like, 1 hour, beautiful. So I'm sitting there making dua, and my dua ends in 10 minutes. So I was giving us an hour, think about what you're going to make dua for. Believe it or not, you probably last 15, 20 minutes and you're done. But Allah allowed us this long duration, so you can keep asking. And one of the tabi'een said, every dua I made on the last hour of Jum'ah has been accepted and been given to me. So every Jum'ah, put Allah on and remind yourself. 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Tomorrow, inshallah. Yeah. Any other questions? Sheikh Bashir. نفس الآية. Yes, the Shaykh is reminding us of an ayah in Surah Al-A'raf, which speaks about the same concept I mentioned earlier. There are some parts of the earth that give off good, and some give off bad, and the mu'min is similar. Jazakallah khair, Shaykh Bashir. Khalil. Allah Akbar. الرجاء بارك الله فيك. الرجاء عدم الكلام عن الموضوع الآن. الرجاء نتكلم بعد الصلاة إن شاء الله. نتكلم بعد الصلاة. بارك الله فيك.
أنا بستعمل هاي الأشياء.
لا أحد يستطيع أن يحجز المكان.
أخي أنا ما حجز.
طيب.
طيب.
طيب. طيب. شفاك الله. شفاك الله.
هل يقال لي هذه سبيس الشيء يقام براو؟
ما
شيخ لو سمحت بالله وجاوب.
لن أجاوبك الآن. لن أجاوبك الآن عبد الملك. لن أجاوبك الآن. نتكلم عن الخاص إن شاء الله. الله أعلم. Not too sure. I'll revise the issue and I'll get back to you. From what I recall, it is the last hour. But again, sa'a in Arabic can mean a duration. Correct. جزاك الله خير. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.